How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Uncoder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. If you guys don't want access to a private repository, there's a link in the description down below that'll walk you through exactly how to get access to that. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and hop into what we're working on today. Today, we're going to go ahead and continue working on our more message options. This time specifically, we're going to go ahead and get it so that our reaction icon or modal can pop up. We're also going to go ahead and fix this up because this didn't quite work right. We need to do a little bit of calculations and make this so it's fixed instead of right on top of this. So that's what we're going to work on first, but then we're going to go ahead and switch our focus over to this. So that being said, let's go ahead and hop in the code and get to work here. So today we're going to go ahead and start out inside of our message container. And what we need to go ahead and do is we need to come down here. We need to make a new piece of state that we're going to go ahead and call more distance. And we go ahead and say const and then more distance and set more distance. And what this is going to do is it's going to basically go ahead and figure out how far it is or where the location of it is on the screen. That way we can set up some margin and stuff in a second. So use state. This is going to be top, which is a number, maybe. And this is going to be left, which is a number. And then this is going to be start out as an object. Whoops. As I don't know what happened there. It went upwards. This is going to start out as an object, where our top is 0 and our left is 0, like so. And we're also going to go ahead and set up a ref. So it's going to say const more ref is equal to use ref. And this is going to be an HTML div element. And this will start out as null. And then let's also make sure we go ahead and import our use ref so it doesn't complain at us. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to come down here a little ways to underneath our React. I'm going to go ahead and say const message. Actually, never mind. We already have a message more. So we're not going to go below our React. We're just going to go ahead and add it to here. And this is going to say if our more ref and our more ref.current. So if both of those, then we're going to go ahead and say const top is equal to more ref.current.get bounding client rectangle dot top. So this will go ahead and show us where it's located on the page. We'll say const left is equal to more ref.current dot get client bounding rec or whatever again, and then left. I'm gonna go ahead and set more distance. And this is going to go ahead and say top and left. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set this modal to a fixed position on the page. And then we're going to go ahead and set up some margin padding and stuff to go ahead and put it exactly where we need it. So next what we're going to go ahead and do is we need to update this. So we don't have this on here yet. We're going to go down to where our more modal is. So let's find our more modal. So let's see here. So display React modal or message more modal. And I'm going to go ahead and just add a distance, which we don't have yet, but we'll add in a second more distance like so. And it's going to complain for a second. That's fine. And this is good to go. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is hop into our more modal and get this fixed. So inside of our message more modal, let's just go to the top of this interface and let's just go ahead and put in a distance, which is going to be equal to top, which is a number. Maybe if I could type, I can't type today. When can I type? Never. And left, which is a number. So that looks good. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we need to update basically the class here. So let's go ahead and add in our distance here. That way we can actually use it. And then here inside of our message more modal, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add a style equal to, and then here we're going to go ahead and have margin, on the top. So this is going to be backticks, $ curly brace, and then this is going to be distance dot top and then px, and then we're also going to go ahead and add a margin on the left, and this is going to be backticks $ curly brace, and this will be distance dot left and then px. So basically what's going to end up happening is we're going to go ahead and save this, and I spelled distance wrong. Go ahead and fix that, distance.top. So now what we're going to do is going to hop into the CSS and make a small change. So make this a fixed position, and then we're going to go ahead and use some of these margins to kind of put it exactly what we want. We're going to calculate what we want each time we load the page. Let's go ahead and open up the CSS. So now we need to come in here. Instead of position absolute, this is going to be position fixed. like so, and then it'll fix it to the top 0, left 0, except we're adding a bunch of margin and padding to it to kind of push it over to where we want. So now let's go ahead and hop into the front end, just make sure this looks good before we start working on our reaction stuff. So if we go ahead and just refresh it to make sure all of our stuff is there, let's go ahead and open up the messages once it wants to load. Go ahead and mess with Rick. If we click on this, it didn't quite work what's going on here. So you can see how it's up at the top left, but for some reason the margin and padding didn't work. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with this. Let's just make sure everything got saved, and then let's just check the message more modal again. Oh, you know what? I think that we might have forgotten a use effect or something to go ahead and calculate this. Let me just double check the code really quick. Oh, you know what we actually forgot? We forgot to add in the more ref. So let's go ahead and hop back into the message container, and then let's come down here. We need to, on this wrapper, add the ref. So let's go ahead and say ref is equal to more ref. We need the ref because right now it's equal to null. We haven't set it, so that's why it's not getting any margin. So let's go ahead and try again. Hopefully this fixes it. Let's go ahead and refresh it for the heck of it. Open this guy up, open this, and there we go. So it just barely fits, but it's good to go. We might want to look into why this isn't quite letting us get to delete for you, but that's not in the scope of this episode. We fixed the bug that I want to fix, and I guess we're going to add another bug. But with that being said, we wasted enough time on this bug. Let's go ahead and get it into working on getting our reaction working. So I want to be able to click on this, open up a modal, and then also be able to browse through emojis. So let's hop back into the code and I'll show you guys how we do this. So we need to go ahead and hop into our emoji utils first. And whenever you look at it, there's like a bar with certain emojis on it. So we need to basically do what we did up here, similar to, let's see this, generate emoji category, except we need to go ahead and map the reactions bar. So let's come down here, and I don't know if I put this below generate top row. I think I do. So let's go ahead and come down here below generate top row. We'll go ahead and export const, whoops. And this is going to be map reaction bar. And this is going to be equal to an arrow function. And this is just kind of long and a tedious process. So of our interface, and it's going to just be called reaction. And inside here, we're going to have an img, which is a string. And we'll also have an emoji, which is the emoji itself, which is a string. Okay, looks good. Say const data is equal to a reaction, whoops, array. So this is going to be what we pass back. We're going to say for let emoji of emojis, like so. Or say let, whoops, images colon any equal to emojis, emoji.images. And then now we do the fun part. So now we're going to say if emoji.name is equal to face, whoops, with tears of joy. So this is the case. We're going to go ahead and say data of 0 is equal to, and this is going to be img, the images of 0. And then we'll go ahead and let's say comma, and then emoji is emoji dot emoji. And now we just have to do this for literally all of them. So data is mad at me because I need to go ahead and set it equal to an array. I just want to make sure all of this is looking good before we get too far, and then everything is literally just broken. Next, we're going to say if the emoji, and I'm probably going to mess something up here, dot name is equal to face, whoops, I could type face with open mouth. If that's the case, then we're going to go ahead and say data of, whoops, data of 1 is equal to curly braces. It's going to be the same thing. Image is images of 0. And then we're going to say emoji is emoji dot emoji. We have to do this a few more times, unfortunately. Then we're going to say if our emoji dot name is equal to, next will be crying face. So this is the case. We'll say data 2 is equal to img of images of 0. And then we'll say emoji is emoji dot emoji. We'll say if emoji dot name is equal to, and this one will be red heart, except it's a lowercase, red heart, like so. And I just jumped to the bottom. Let me get back up there. So if it's red heart, we'll say data 3 is equal to, and this will be img images of 0, and then comma emoji will be emoji dot emoji. Next we'll have fire. So if our emoji dot name is equal to fire, I believe. Yep. And then this will be data 4 is equal to img images of 0. And then we'll also have emoji is emoji dot emoji. That's good. We'll say if our emoji dot name is equal to thumbs up. Here we'll have data 5 is equal to images of 0, and emoji is emoji dot emoji. We're almost done, I promise. And then finally we have if our emoji dot name is equal to thumbs down. So last one, we'll go ahead and say data of 6 is equal to images of 0, and then emoji is emoji dot emoji. Then after that, we need to go ahead and just return the data. So this is going to basically be all the emojis in the correct order for our little bar that pops up inside of our modal. So that's good to go. This is kind of like the most tedious part. Now we can go ahead and hop into the component, or hop into our like sidebar here like this. And we can go ahead and create the component. So I'm going to say A, and this is going to go ahead and be MessageReactModal / MessageReactModal.tsx. Go ahead and say MessageReactModal.css. And I think that looks good. Let's hop into here. We'll go ahead and import React, maybe React from React. And then we would have an interface. And the interface will be message react message props, and inside here we'll have a handle click, which is an react.mouse event, and this is going to be on an HTML ML image element. And then this will just be void. So what happens whenever we click on one of the emojis? And then we also need a distance similar to our other one. So this one we're gonna have bottom, which is a number. I don't know why I set it up this way. I don't know why my brain works the way it is, but it's gonna be right number. There we go. So that's good to go. Let's go ahead and export const and message react modal, which is a react.fc. We'll take in the message react. I messed this up. This should be message react props, not message react message props. Let's go and fix this. Add an extra message in here. So clean this up. There we go. Looks better. And then let's go ahead and do our arrow function. Go ahead and break apart this. So we'll have our handle click in our distance. Okay, that looks good. And here we go. We'll go ahead and return, and we'll set up a div with a class name equal to, and this is going to be curly braces, backticks, message-react-modal, and this is going to have $ curly brace. And I don't know. Okay, so we're going to have to wait a second to fill all of this out because we have a little bit of state that we'll need, but that's fine. Say style equal to double curly braces, and this one is a little bit jank, but it works. So here we're going to say margin bottom is going to be backticks $ curly brace, and this will be distance, I can't type, distance dot bottom, and then we add 8px to this. I don't know why we do it like this. It is what it is, px. And then we'll have margin left. I could not get margin right to work, so that's why we're using margin left here. Negative $ curly braces. This would be distance dot right minus, and then it looks good at 182 px. So then we'll go ahead and mess this up. This should be minus 182 here, and then add px to that, and then let's go ahead and close off that div. Okay, and then let's see what's going wrong with this. I don't know if it's this guy. Yes, it was. Okay, it doesn't like the empty curly brace, but that's fine. So we have a little bit of state to set up before we can actually do everything in here. So let's go ahead and set up that state. So here I'll go ahead and first set up the reaction bar data. So set const reaction bar data is equal to map reaction bar. So then we can have the data for that. We'll also say const and then display display drop down and set display drop down is equal to use state boolean and then false. So now we can go ahead and actually set up the rest of this. So let's go ahead and import our use state really quick. So we can go ahead and come into our class here. We can say $sign curly brace like we want to, and go ahead and say display drop down question mark. So if that's the case, so this would be a React dash modal more, and then otherwise it'll be React dash modal dash default. And this isn't named very well, but React modal more is going to be displaying the entire set of emojis versus the default is going to be smaller. So we're going to have curly braces. We're going to say not, don't want uppercase, display drop down question mark. We're going to go ahead and wrap some stuff inside of these guys. Let's go ahead and do this. And honestly, I have it one way, but I'm going to go ahead and do this and then do this. And then we'll go ahead and do like this. And then otherwise, we're going to have the emoji dropdown. So emoji dropdown location is equal to reaction. We're going to have to fix this. It's fine. And handle click, we'll have to go ahead and add in a little bit later on as well. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and get it working so it looks nice. So either way, we're going to either show our reaction bar or we're going to go ahead and show the emoji dropdown, and then we'll deal with handling click as we go. So now we're going to go ahead and have another set of curly braces. We're going to say reaction bar, and I spelled data wrong, so let me go ahead and fix that as well. Bar. Oh my goodness, I am struggling here. Let's fix this. I got the hiccups too, excuse me. Reaction bar data. We're going to go ahead and map this. So we're going to say dot map each emoji like so. And I messed this up. Let's add another set of parentheses. That way it's not broken. All right, I was about to be scratching my head for a while. So here we're going to return a div with a class name equal to message.react dash modal dash option, and ID will equal to emoji dot emoji, and then on click will equal to our handle click function that gets passed like so. So there, and then inside here we're going to have an img with a class name equal to be a message dash react modal option, and then this is the actual emoji. src will be equal to emoji.img. So that's good to go. This is going to matter because we don't have a source. I don't care. And then below this guy, we're going to have another div, the class name equal to, and this is going to be message dash react dash modal more dash option. This one has to be slightly different because this one has an on mouse over. I don't really know what the point of this is. I don't know if this actually works or not, so this might not even be needed. We're just going to say e react.mouse event, and then this is going to be on an HTML div element, and then we're going to go ahead and just say e.stop propagation. And then I think we have more on here. Let me scroll over. I can't quite see everything on my monitor. And then after that, we also go ahead and have an on click. So whenever we click this guy, we want to go ahead and set the display drop down to true. So here we'll go ahead and do this, and we'll say set display drop down to true. We might want to clean this up a little bit because this is kind of messy. Let's go ahead and also make this a little bit prettier, and I don't want to close the div like that, so let me also not break our entire thing here. So let's go ahead and close the div like so. Okay, now it should be fine. Let's go ahead and clean this up because this is really long. Should probably clean up the other top div as well, but I'm already past it, so it is what it is. But here, so we have this div. So this is going to be to open up the more modal, or the emoji, basically drop down. So here we're going to have more horizontal again. So just going to go ahead and say more horizontal from material UI. We're going to go ahead and say sx equal to, we're going to have a height of 24 px. I'm going to go ahead and close this in quotes. We'll have a width of 24 px, and then we'll have a color, and this is going to be pound, and then 6577 86. So that is good to go. And let me go and save this and give it a second here because it's going to complain probably because the more horizontal. But let's wait here, make sure it looks good. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to making sure our emoji drop down is going to work properly, doing the CSS and getting this into our message modal. Cool. So now let's hop into the emoji drop down to get this reaction guy working here. So inside of here, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to make a new function near the bottom here called determine dropdown class. So let's just see here. All right, above here, we're going to go ahead and just say const and then determine and then drop down class. And this is going to take in a location of string and go ahead and do this. And all this is just going to be is a switch on a location. And then there's going to have cases here. So case of message, we're going to go ahead and return. And this will be emoji dash drop dash down dash message. In the case, I can't type, of reaction, which is what we're going to be setting up next. Then I can spell reaction right. We're going to return, and this will be emoji dash drop dash down dash reaction. And then we'll just have a default. We'll just go ahead and default to returning the emoji dash drop dash down dash post. So now we have multiple options here, and all we need to do is go ahead and come down to here. Let's go ahead and delete what's in here, and then what we'll go ahead and do is we will call our determine and then drop down class and then pass in our location, and that should go ahead and style it with the specific class. So now let's hop into the CSS for here and get that class created. So now we can go ahead and go below our message drop down and say dot emoji dash drop dash down dash reaction, and here we'll have a bottom 0 and a left 0. We just want it basically in the bottom left of the component or the container we're creating, and that's good to go. And now what we need to go ahead and do is just add this into our message container and then style it. Let's hop into our message container. So inside of our message container, let's go back up to the top here, and we're going to need to go ahead and set up a couple things similar to what we did before. And I missed, I think, a couple pieces of code here, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and start out. We need a more or const. Let me just double check. Maybe I'm going crazy here. Yeah, we totally forgot this const, and we need a react distance and set react distance is equal to use state. And here we're going to go ahead and have a bottom, which is a number. Whoops. And we also need a, I believe we said right on this one. Yep, right, which is a number. And here we go ahead and say bottom is 0, and we'll also go ahead and say right is 0. So that's important that we have that. Cool. Let me go back to my other code here. We should be good now. Now what we want to go ahead and do is come down below our more ref. We're going to go ahead and set up a react const react ref is equal to use ref of an HTML div element, and this will be null. And then we also want a const watcher ref, and this is a little bit gross, but we need a way to close it. So this is going to be the best way to do that, and this is going to be on HTML div, if I could type, div element as well, and null. Okay, so those are good to go. Next, we need to go ahead and deal with whenever someone clicks outside of this ref. I'm just going to go ahead and put this at the top. That's fine. So const handle outside, actually I call it handle click outside. Okay, it's going to be E of any because it's being annoying, and we're going to go ahead and do this. And now we're going to say if our watcher ref and our watcher ref dot current, and we're going to say not watcher ref dot current dot contains, and we're going to go ahead and say e dot target. So if we hit outside of our watcher ref, then we're going to go ahead and say set display react, and we need to create display react. No, we do have display react. Okay, but false, like so. And we might also need to do something similar to this to our display more, but it is what it is. So we want to go ahead and be able to click outside of it to get rid of it. I don't want to set up a whole new slice or anything like that to deal with this. So that's how we're going to deal with it. Next, we're going to go ahead and come down here and we're going to set up a use effect to actually set this up. So again, I think I missed even more code here, unfortunately. So we'll have to deal with that in a second. But let's go ahead and say use effect. We'll set up the code that I missed in a second. And we'll go ahead and do this. And this is just going to watch the watcher ref. So let's go ahead and say watcher ref like so. And then this is going to go and say document dot and then add event listener. And this is going to be a mouse down event. And what we're going to do is handle click outside. And then we're going to go ahead and return, set up an arrow function. And then in here, we're going to say document dot add event listener. And actually we want to remove event listener, not add. So let's go ahead and say remove. So whenever we close this guy, we don't want this event listener anymore. So we're going to go ahead and say mouse down again. Once again, it'll be handle click outside. So go ahead and get rid of that whenever we close out of this modal or we like get out of the messages basically. Now we also need to go ahead and set up this React function. Let me go and find the code for that. I didn't put it in where I needed it at. So inside of React, underneath our display React true, we're going to go and say if our React ref and our React ref.current. So if that's the case, we're going to go ahead and say const bottom. I don't know why I did it this way, but I did window.inner height minus React ref.current.get bounding client rectangle dot top. I definitely probably could have just done get the rectangle box, but it is what it is. Const right is equal to window dot inner width minus, and this is going to be math dot round, and it's going to be React ref dot current dot get client box, and then dot right. Probably should have mapped that round to both of these, but it is what it is. We're going to set React distance, and we're going to go ahead and pass in our bottom and pass in our right. So let me make sure I add a comma instead of that. That's good to go. So I think that's the last piece of code that I missed, at least I'm hoping. So now let's go down to our message container and we need to add in that watcher ref. So we're going to go ahead and say ref is equal to watcher ref. That way we can go ahead and watch if we click outside the message container. Then we need to come down to where our message React options are. So let's come down here. So here where we have our div and all this stuff, and this div actually has a class name on it. And we're going to go ahead and say message-content. I don't know if we actually do anything with this, but React-options. I didn't see this last episode. And we're going to go to our display React here. We're going to say message React, if I could type React modal, and then handle click will equal to nothing for the time being. We'll just leave that blank, and then we'll have our distance, which will be equal to our React distance. Like so. Let's go ahead and close this. That should be good. Now the problem is right now it's not going to look good. We're going to have to come back and actually style it, but let's go ahead and update the React options here to make it so that it's a position relative. That way we can put the modal where we want it or the popup where we want it, and then go ahead and style the React modal, and hopefully it doesn't take too long to go ahead and finish up. Let's go back into the CSS, and we need to go ahead and just create that class. Sorry, y'all, got cut off right before we finished up here. So basically all we need to do now is go ahead and make a dot message dash content dash react dash options, and then inside here all we're going to go ahead and do is do position is relative like so, and that is good to go. And then we just need to go ahead and set up the CSS for the MessageReactModal, which is going to take a little bit of time, and hopefully I don't mess anything up. Let's go ahead and take a look at that and wrap up this episode. So inside of here we'll start at the dot message dash react dash modal, and here we'll just have a width of 333 px. We'll have a height of 60 px. We're going to have a display flex, and hopefully I got this all right. I don't know if we actually want this width here. I think we actually want to get rid of this width because we're going to replace it with a different width. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I think that's an oversight. We don't want display flex. We want justify dash content, and just going to be space dash between. We're going to go ahead and have align items in the center. We're going to have a position fixed, just like we had it inside of our other one. This one have bottom 0, but I'm going to go ahead and ignore that because we're setting it inside the component itself. We're going to have a background color of white. So there's some stuff here that I forgot to clean up, it seems like. I'm going to go ahead and just set a Z index. Maybe Z index to, this one says 300. Doesn't really matter. It just needs to be a little bit higher up than the other stuff. And again, I don't think the Z index is even needed. We're going to have a border dash radius of 200 and make sure not 200. Oh my goodness, what are we doing? This is 12px. After border radius, we're going to have border of none. We're going to go ahead and have a box dash shadow. And this is going to be RGBA of 0, 0, 0, 0.2. 0px, we're going to have 5px and then 15px. Then we're going to have padding on the left will be 12px. And we're going to have padding on the right of 12px. Now hopefully this all ends up working out. There's some changes I made in here, so we'll see, especially with the height. So next we'll have react-modal-default. So here, this is if it's just going to be the list of emojis kind of side by side. So width will be 333px. That's why I removed it from there. We'll have a .react modal - more. So the actual like emoji drop down is a little bit smaller. So width will be 320px for this one. And then we have a few more things here. Message react modal option. So here width will be 40px, our height will be 40px, and then we're going to go ahead and have display of flex. We'll have a justify content in the center, we'll align items in the center, and then we're going to have a small border dash radius of 6px. Here I guess we should have probably just put border none as well, just to be safe. So that looks good. After this guy, we have our message react modal option hover. Whenever we hover over it, we'll have a cursor of pointer and we'll have a background color of RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0.1 message react. And I typoed inside of here, so hopefully it's fine. Option emoji. So inside this one, we'll have a height of 34px and a width of 34px. A couple more. Message react modal more option. So this one is slightly different. Width will be 40px. Height will be 40px. We're gonna have display of flex. We'll justify content in the center. We'll align items in the center. And we'll have a border radius of 100%. And then again, a border will be none. And then finally, we just need to go ahead and set a hover on this. Message react modal more option hover. Hopefully I didn't mess up any of the CSS here. Cursor will be pointer. And then we'll have a background color. RGBA, this one's going to be the blue color, 29, 161, 242, 0.2. Okay, so theoretically, this should be all the CSS. Let's just make sure that we imported this into our React modal component as well, because the amount of times I've forgotten to import it and don't know what's going on. So it doesn't look like I imported it. So let's go ahead and import message react modal.css. So it's a good thing that we checked. Okay, let's go ahead and save everything here. And I think, fingers crossed, everything should be good to go. Hopefully don't have to debug too much. But let's go ahead and take a peek and see if anything's broken. So let's just go ahead and give this a nice refresh to be safe. I don't think I restarted the server or anything in between takes here. Go ahead and come in here. If we click on this, nothing happens. Interesting. Let's go ahead and make sure that we implemented this part. I'm pretty sure that we did. This part is working. That's good. So why is clicking on this guy not working? Let's go and take a look. This is going to be my message container. We're not setting the margin. Did we forget to add the ref again? Let's just double check that. I think we forgot the ref. So let's say ref is equal to, and this is React ref. Go ahead and save that. And let's just check to see what the component looks like now. Let's give it a refresh. That way it can recalculate. Go into here, pop this guy up, click on this. So it did change again, but we're not seeing it anymore. Let's just check what the CSS looks like now. Not pulling it up, even though it does have margin bottom on it. Did I typo this? So I guess I'm gonna go and try to put bottom 0 back on this because apparently it might be needed. I don't think the height is needed or the width is needed, but I'll try to add the width back on here as well, just to see. I don't think that's going to be the issue either, but I'm trying to see kind of what might be different here. The rest of it looks the exact same. Everything else is looking good. I don't know if that was the issue. Let's see. Okay, so now we have some CSS issues, but it is here. So I guess part of it was the bottom 0. Interesting. So it looks like our margin left isn't quite right. It looks like it might still be getting like 0 or something because it needs to be pushed to the left even more. And then these guys are obviously way too big, so I typoed something in here. So let's see what's going on with that. I might have just accidentally did it wrong, like typoed something. So let's go ahead and take a look inside of our code. So here, typoed this. Let's double check what I spelled this wrong. Let's double check what it looks like now. There we go. It looks a lot better. And if we click on this guy, it pops this up like it's supposed to. Now the only thing is that I want it pushed out to the left a little bit more. So let's just take a look at this guy and bump it a little bit. I don't know why it's not lining up properly. I don't think I changed anything, but maybe I did change something slightly and I forgot to change it. Let's take a look at what this is looking like. So come over here to distance right. It is negative 182 px distance.right. I'm wondering if I changed something slightly inside of the container. So let me just double check that. I didn't, but for some reason this doesn't quite look right. I'm not sure what's going on with this. I'm going to probably just bump this up a little bit, I guess. I'm gonna see what happens if we do a plus instead of minus. It'll probably break worse, but let's see. Yep, so that's way too much to the left. So what if we just say negative distance right really quick? Okay, so that's a little bit too much as well. So we just need to do a minus a little bit more, about probably half the width of this or something. So let's just bump this. I'm just going to play around with it until I find one I like. Obviously I messed something up here and it's not exactly how I wanted it, but it is what it is. Let me just try 82 and kind of see what that puts us, and then I'll be back whenever I find one that I like. All right, so I think I found one that I like. Let's go and get rid of this. So here's what it's looking like. It's kind of centered in the middle. If you click this, it opens this guy up. You click outside of it, it goes away. Looks good. And then for this, I end up going with distance right minus 132. I don't know how everything got out of whack. Sorry, this episode is a little bit messy, but I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So as always, guys, if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to see what we started from absolute scratch to get to the point we are now, there's a playlist in the description down below and on the end card that'll go ahead and show you that. But as always, guys, hope you have a great day. This has been Ethan Encoder, and I'll see you guys in the next video.